Welcome to USCFootball.com. I am Chris Trevino, and this is another baseball instant analysis edition with the one and only Shotgun Spratling live and in person at the Corvallis Regional, where USC just completed a 6-4 win over the number 4 seed St. Mary's, sending them to the regional final in that region. Shotgun, a little bit different from their first win over TCU, but how did they get it done and get back to a regional final?
Yeah, I mean, yesterday against TCU, they nicked and cut them with 14 singles and no extra base hits. Today, they used the long ball. Ethan Hedges hits two homers out. He'd only had one homer in his last 27 games after being on fire in the first half of the season. So great to see him, have a huge game and not just hit two homers, but hit a slider out to left field and then hit a fastball out to right center. Just tells you he's locked in right now, which is a great sign for USC as they try to move forward. They're in the regional final, as you mentioned, which means they need one win to advance to their first super regional since 2005. Now, they will await to see who they play. They could play either Oregon State or St. Mary's. Their win over St. Mary's sends them to the losers bracket where they will face Oregon State. Oregon State eliminated TCU earlier in the day. And so the winner of tomorrow's 3 o'clock game between St. Mary's and Oregon State will then have to play a second game. So you have USC will be fresh. They'll have more pitching coming in, but they could be facing a hostile crowd if Oregon State is to win, and then try to force a game 7. Because if USC were to lose tomorrow, that does not mean they are out of the tournament. They would get one more day. It would be a winner take all in a game 7 on Monday, and that game time would be determined later when the TV decides what they want to do. But then whoever wins the regional final advances to the super regionals, where USC, if they were to win, would likely get sent to Tallahassee, where Florida State right now is controlling that regional over there. So USC, they've been the road warriors. Not having a place to play at home, playing in Irvine. They've been on the road the last 3 weeks from going from Washington to Omaha, now up to Corvallis. Now, hey, they would love a trip to Tallahassee because that would mean they have won their first regional since 2005 and advanced to the super regionals. And, the fact that they were able to do it in a different way. Yesterday, blowout win and just constant barrage of singles. Today with some clutch hits at some big times, some big bombs from Ethan Hedges, as we mentioned, also from freshman Augie Lopez. They just got contributions from the entire roster, it felt like, in this game. They had two pinch hitters come into the game. You had Maximo Martinez come in. He got out his first time. Well, the second time he comes up again, and Cade Higgins had let off an inning with a single, mentions a second. Maximo Martinez knocks him in, and it provides a crucial insurance run late in the game for USC, because this game was pretty tight. It was a one-run game in the 8th inning. USC gets one run in the bottom of the 8th to kind of separate, give themselves a little bit of breathing room, and then they were able to close it out. They got out a huge jam in the top of the 8th inning. We'll talk about that in a minute. But just they did it on the pitching side. They did it offensively, making some good plays, and then the hits came through with some clutch knocks, and because of that, USC is in regional final, and they'll be waiting to see if they play the Gales again tomorrow or if they get a shot at the Beavers.
Did want to talk to you about the pitching effort in this win. Sophomore Mason Edwards got the start. Really good performance. 3 runs allowed, 6 Ks over 5 1/3 innings. But the bullpen only allowed 3 hits from after that. After Edwards left the game, and then 1 run. And then Caden Hunter comes in for his first save of the season, a 4-out save. Can you talk about his performance and just the pitching in general, how they got it done there on Saturday?
Yeah, kind of a role reversal actually, because you start the season, Caden Hunter is your ace. He's the opening day starter. He was really good through the first half of the season, and then he's been bothered by a knee injury actually, and it's affected his performance a lot. And he goes out today and comes out of the bullpen. Whereas Mason Edwards started the season, he was in the bullpen. He had an elbow issue, so they shut him down for a little bit. And when they brought him back, they wanted to put him on a consistent schedule. So they said, "Hey, we're going to put him in the starting rotation so that we can, really control when he goes out there, when he's warming up, all that type of stuff." And both of those guys have excelled in their new roles, kind of the last couple of weeks. So they kind of flip flopped. Mason Edwards gives him 5 1/3 innings. He does give up 3 runs. Those are all came on a couple of home runs, but he did it on 64 pitches, was super efficient in this game. And if it wasn't for the danger of the long ball, he was giving up some hard hits later in the inning. So they decided to go to the bullpen. They go to their ace in the hole, basically. Brodie Purcell has been their lockdown reliever all season, a guy that they've trusted to give them 1 inning, at the end of the game, or 2 innings, 3 innings, 4 innings sometimes. And so Brady Purcell gets into a big jam in the eighth inning. There's two, they're not really hit hard, two soft singles to right field, but then a four-pitch walk loads the bases for the 2, 3, 4 hitters in St. Mary's lineup. And, Brodie Purcell is able to get the two-hole hitter to fly out, but it's a sacrifice fly. Makes it a one-run game, bringing up their 3 and 4 hitters. In St. Mary's, 3 and 4 hitters can do some damage. Both of them have double-digit home runs so far this season. Aiden Turok had already hit a bomb earlier in the game. Ryan Pierce hit a home run, I believe yesterday or maybe 2 days ago. He hit a couple last week when I saw him in the WCC tournament. So both big time threats there. And USC sticks with Purcell against Turok and he gets a ground out, but it's a chopper. They're not able to turn two, so the inning continues. Runners on the corners now. Tying run is 90 feet away, and USC makes the interesting decision. Andy Stankiewicz goes to the bullpen and goes and gets Caden Hunter. Now, Hunter, like I said, has struggled recently. He did have one good outing out of relief against Washington a couple weeks back, but it's just been a struggle for him to throw consistent strikes and to be able to attack the zone regularly. He comes in throwing absolute cheddar. I mean, he was 96, 97 against Ryan Pierce, strikes him out with a 95-mile-an-hour fastball looking. And, the runner was on the move. They didn't care. He's like, I'm just going to attack this here. I'm going to get him. And it was great to see for his confidence and for the struggles he's kind of gone through recently with that knee injury. He was, Andy Stankiewicz showing a lot of confidence in Caden Hunter to come in. And he lit up St. Mary's, lit up the radar gun. I checked the data. He had not thrown a fastball harder than 95 miles an hour this season. Now, not to say 95 miles an hour is not hard, but when you come in throwing 96s and you hit 97, that shows you how amped up he was for the situation, that he wanted to go out there, as Andy Stankiewicz put it, he said he wanted to go out there and win for his teammates, and he did that. He gets the big strikeout there, and then USC gets that insurance run like I talked about, and then he goes 1-2-3 in the ninth inning. USC advances to the regional final, and hey, one win away.
One win away indeed. Shotgun, we talked a little bit about momentum in our last incident analysis after that big win over TCU and just this team, being a team that has come close to making the tournament. And you felt like, they've been ready for this moment for quite some time. You're out there in Corvallis, obviously. You're around the team. You're talking to coaches and players. Do you feel like this edge with the team, like they have this confidence that they can go far in this tournament and, hey, get to the Super Regional and then maybe win the Super Regional and move on further?
Yeah, I mean, this team feels like they're capable of anything right now. They're getting great pitching. They're, with Ethan Hedges coming around and the way he's swung the bat the last couple of games, even though he hadn't had the results of, a lot of home runs necessarily the last couple of weeks, he's been swinging the bat much better and being able to attack and drive the ball to the pull side a little bit more. And that's what it was really good to see. The fact that he hit one to left field and then hit one to right field. And I actually talked with Eric Valenzuela, the St. Mary's coach, before the game, and I said, hey, who's the scariest hitter for you in this lineup? He said, Ethan Hedges. And I thought that was interesting just because he hasn't been going great recently. He's been going fine, but not great, not anywhere close to where he was at the beginning of the season. And for him to come out and just show out, that was a really big thing for USC. And I think that just builds on the confidence. They feel like everyone can kind of get the job done. You see Augie Lopez get the 2-run homer that ties the game. Also in this game, they fall behind. Hedges hits a homer in the first inning, but they give up two more. They give up 2 homers. They're down 3-1, showing some resiliency. And that's kind of been what this team is about. And I kind of asked Andy Stankiewicz that. And I said, hey, I don't want to make one game more than it necessarily is, but it just feels like this is kind of a, leading into a culmination of what this group has gone through in the last 3 years. So much, adversity of being so close and not getting in, but also the adversity of not having a field and all those things that have gone along with it, and just feeling like you're so close and not being able to get over that hump, not being able to get that big hit at the right time, late in this season. But the last 2 days, they put it together, and they're putting it together at the right time. They're playing great baseball. They're playing great defensively, pitching, hitting, defense. When you do those 3 things, usually you have a pretty good chance to win a game. And now, hey, they're going to be they're going to get either a hungry St. Mary's team that, as we've seen, can hit the ball really well, or potentially going to see a Oregon State team that looked a lot different than the team that they faced or that St. Mary's shut down on Friday. They just demolished TCU in the first game of this. I think they hit 4 or 5 home runs, I think, in that game. They were really driving the ball really well, and they just looked kind of like a different team. They talked about after the game, Mitch Canham, I talked with him before the game, talked about, just creating that atmosphere, that energy around the program because he felt like they were tight the opening day. He said that he came into the locker room and one of their players had their head shaved. They were just kind of, rambunctious, a little bit, maybe too much energy early in the game, but it really worked well for them against TCU. So I would not be surprised if USC has to face off against the host Beavers tomorrow night at 7 p.m. in a rematch of the 2005 Super Regional, the last time USC was in a Super Regional, but also a reunion of the Pac-12 foes once again. And it'll be great theater, and that place will be absolutely rocking if that is indeed the matchup that plays out tomorrow night.
Then it's all coming together. It's all coming together. And as you said, one went away from the Super Regional. We will see the results on Sunday, 7 p.m. when USC takes on St. Mary's or Oregon State. And we'll be there with the coverage, Shotgun and Corvallis, and then maybe a little instant analysis after. I'm Chris, that's Shotgun. Stay tuned at uscfootball.com for all the baseball coverage of the NCAA tournament.